Okay, everyone. This is Cameron back again. I took a little break from making videos about mastering the mainframe. I hope you're rolling along with those, and I will have some hints for Challenge 8 later this week. But I'd like to at least get you started, those of you that have no programming background, and bring you along kind of slowly. And there are a variety of languages that we can begin with. There are easier languages than Python, the language that I'm going to begin this with. But I think Python it's not a difficult language to learn, and it is object oriented, and you can do a lot of cool stuff with on the web and analytics and stuff like that with Python. So it's a good first language for you to learn. And then if you learn Python, the scripting languages like Rex and PHP won't be a challenge to you. And it actually will help you learn a more difficult language like Java down the road. But Python is a good starting point. I'll tell you a little bit about Python before we get started. It is, so in programming languages, you're always trying to find an easier way to do something that a language is already doing. By that I mean, for example, Java is an easier way to do things that you used to do in C and C++. Okay, C++ can be, both C and C++ can be challenging because you have to do things like manage your own memory and pointer manipulation and things like that. Whereas in Java, you don't have to worry about memory leaks, because memory leak is when you fail to release your memory. And so if you have a loop, and every time you go through that loop, you acquire some more of your RAM for that program. If you don't release the RAM, if that loop runs long enough, sooner or later you will run out of memory. So memory leaks are not a problem in Java. And so Java is probably the prevailing language these days, although there are a lot of languages out there that are in vogue. Swift is one. Swift is another easier way to do what Java did. But Python's a good place to start. So let me minimize the verbiage and have a little more demonstration. So for this, I'm using Code Academy, the Code Academy site, and it's at codeacademy.com. Let me remove all this stuff so you just see where you come in. Codeacademy.com. It's a free site. Of course, all the free sites will take donations, but you can use this one for free. Now you see up here at the top they have upgrade to Pro, which it'll provide a little more support for you. But for our purposes, free version is fine. So we're going to start with Python now. And on yours, because I was already doing Python, Python's in my browser. But when you first come to it, you go to the catalog, and then for us, we go to by language, Python. Okay, and then here are the courses. And so let's click on Learn Python. We'll get started. We're from ground zero. So, and here they're trying to sell you something. That's okay. Don't worry about that at all. Let's go to the Python syntax. So this is a great place to start. You can see I've already been doing something in here. I put the cam there. Let's start with to me, the best place to start any programming language or programming in general, discussion about programming in general, someone that doesn't know anything about programming is with variable assignment, right? How to create a symbol, something called a token, right? Which is just a string of characters with no spaces in between them. Create a token and then assign a value to that token. That token, in this case, is called a variable. All right. Not all tokens are variables, but all variables are tokens. So then this environment is very interactive. So I mean, that's what I like about it. You can write your code and then um, take it from there. So this is the first lesson. And they give you a little bit about Python syntax up here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this thing, and let's just change it here. Now you can use my variable, but I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to keep it simple. So what I'm going to do here is assign this symbol, or let's call it var, so you can be a little more descriptive. I'm going to assign a value to var. I'm going to assign a string cam, C-A-M, right, to that. And then I'm going to output that variable. I'm going to display that variable. Write it to my screen or write it to a file. Print var, ER, okay. So here we are, here we go here. Now, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but like Python is an interpreted language. That means it's processed line by line, right? So we've got this over here is source code. What you're looking at here, this text, all of this here is what's called source code. That is the program in a human readable form. But machines don't speak English or any other human language. They just speak binary and machine language. Machine language and binary is synonymous. So you have to have some way to do what's called translating the source code into binary instructions. And so an interpreted language does this line by line. So it takes this line and it sends it to something called an interpreter, which is another piece of software. The interpreter takes the syntax and it renders it into machine language so the processor can process it. Now that's opposed to what we call compiled languages, but we'll talk about those in a little bit. So this is interpreted. Another thing you'll notice here, most languages, the more evolved languages, the more sophisticated languages, make you say when you use a variable, before you use a variable, you have to declare what type that variable is. In Java and C and C++, you have to say it's either an integer value or a decimal value or a string value or a character. In most scripting languages, including Python, you don't have to do that. You just declare your variable and use it. So in this case, it's a string, but I don't have to say that var is a string. So let's run this code and you just click run and it says cam, okay? Now, I'm gonna use the same variable name, but I'm gonna put an integer there, right? So now var equals 2. And this is something that you don't do in Java. You can't do this on the fly. That's why, as I said, we're always trying to find simpler things or simpler ways to do programming. So and Python is probably the best mix of being able to do sophisticated stuff, but and ease of coding. So I'm gonna run it again. I'll click run, so you see 2 there. So that should give you some idea of what variable assignment is. So now at this point, we know how to declare a variable. In this case, we say var. By declaring, I mean I just name it. I'm not declaring what type it is. Var, my variable is var, and I assign a value to it. So you know how to do that. We can change the name of the variable to my var. Okay, and then down here I have to say my var, and it's going to output it the same way. And let's change the value so we know that we're doing that too. And we'll run it. And now the variable is my var and the value is 3. Let's go to the next issue. Oh, wait a minute, what do I have to do to get out of this? Okay, so I have to do what it says do before it lets me go to the next one. So let's do what it says do. I like this environment. So it says over here to the left, it says set the variable, my variable, equal to the value of 10. So let's do that. My underscore variable equals 10. And down here, I have to print. Well, in this case, it doesn't say that we have to print it out. It just says we have to set it. Let's see if it, let's leave this as my var and see if that will suffice. Let's say run. Okay, so let's keep trying. It says they didn't like that, so it must have meant making the same thing. Okay, let's run it. Should have no problem. Now it lets us go to the next one. Good. I like this, and this will help you, right? This will help you because it's step by step, and I don't think there's anybody viewing this video that can't perform that successfully. So what do they want us to do over here? Set the following variables to, so, you know, I'm always lazy. Programmers really are lazy. They don't, people don't admit it, but programmers are lazy. So I'm going to minimize my typing by just copying that over. Go up here. And I'm moving it over because I don't know if it's gonna, if I indent it, if it's going to allow me to continue. So my int equals 7, and I'm just going to replace to the value of with the equal sign. I think you can follow that. 1, 2, 3. My bool to the value of. So up here, and a Boolean is a variable that is either true or false, right? That's a Boolean value. But we don't declare that, right? We just use a Boolean. Because, you know, that's just what it is. And by saying true, the interpreter knows that if I set it equal to true, it says, well, that is a Boolean value, variable because it has a true-false value. So now let's see if that will let us. We'll run this, and it should print out over here. Okay. Unexpected indent. Okay, yeah, it didn't like the indentation. So let's move it over. So it's looking for it to be precisely left align. Now I don't know. I think this is the learning environment. I don't know that Python itself doesn't require you to do that. But let's say run. Okay, so it like that. So you see what's happening there. Let's go to the next one. Again, we're on Code Academy doing Python. Okay. Change the value of my int from 7 to 3 in the editor. Okay. Pretty simple. And it's just giving us a lot of practice. This is for beginners. This video and this interaction is for beginners. What didn't I have there? Int. Change the value of my int to 3 on line 8. Okay, so it was 7 up here. And what this is showing you is that you can just change the value. Run this. I need to read the instructions more carefully. So it like that, and on and on. Oh, so white here it is saying white space is important. Those are blank spaces. White spaces are blank spaces. So it doesn't like that indentation. Okay, so it says go to the next and see what it's supposed to look like. Yeah. So let's see what it's trying to tell us here. Didn't like the indentation. So it says it wants us to indent this too. So we've defined, okay, I think I get it. We're defining something. We're defining a function here. We'll talk about functions in a little bit. But so we're going to indent it twice. And now we're going to try to run it again. Okay. So yeah, we had this, we were defining something. We're defining a function here. There's a little bit about, it hadn't had discussion about functions yet, but it was just showing you that the indentation is important. And that's something that's not common in a lot of languages, but it appears to be common in Python. Let's go to the next one. So they're telling you here that what we're working with is called an interpreter. So it wants us to create a variable called spam and equals true. And we want a variable called eggs, and we want to set that equal to false. Okay, so that was fine, and it just there's nothing out here to print because let's print eggs, see what happens. Right, so we just printed the value from it. That's not a string, but it prints it out. And just so you know, internally, it's going to either be the value for that variable from a numeric standpoint is either going to be 0 or -1. Depends on the language. So then this is not specific to Python. I mean, I'm using Python as the language, but the purpose of these videos is to give you some general programming skills, the things that are relevant. As you will see, as you use more different programming languages, you'll see what is similar between languages and what's different. Things like loops and stuff like that. So I'm going to stop here. I don't want to make any of these videos too long, but we will stop here, and at least that'll get you started on programming. This is for absolute novices. You folks that are a little more advanced, you can skip to later videos, but I'm going to number them sequentially. And what you need to do is, if you start video 1 and you see that you know everything in video 1, then you can skip that one. And then if you skip to video 6 and you see things you don't know, that means you might need to back up to video 5 or video before it. The main thing is I don't want people wasting time on things they already know, but we want to make this because a lot of you have no programming experience whatsoever, and the role and goal of these videos is to bring you up to speed in programming. So I'll see you on the next video. Be well.